picture is for you men who've not yet flown overseas. These are shots of our planes flying through Flak over France and the Low Countries, over Germany and Italy, over Jap Islands in the South Pacific. It looks tough. It is tough. This is no attempt to minimize the danger of flak. The gunners are good, particularly the Germans. Their weapons and methods are good. Good enough to lay a shell on a plane 5 miles up, flying 300 miles an hour. Nevertheless, we've got a higher percentage of planes coming back now. There are a couple of reasons for that. One is the plain guts and skill of our bomber crews. Another is the increasing information from our flak intelligence. Bomber crews are forewarned as to what to expect, specifically. They are told, for instance, to begin taking evasive action 3 minutes off the enemy coast. It will consist of 20-degree changes in course, made at least every 30 seconds and held for at least 10 seconds. Here, you are to gain 1,000 feet in altitude. Arriving at your initial point, make a 90-degree change of course, lose 1,000 feet, and continue evasive action until you start your bombing run. Positive statements? The men in this room prefer it that way. They've learned that a bomber formation can't just take flak as it comes. They know that these briefing room statements are based on a scientific study, and they understand why evasive action must be flown exactly as planned. So that those of you who do not know can get the same understanding, let's have a good look at this flak business. Enemy anti-aircraft weapons vary from heavy guns like the German 88mm flak, the German 105mm flak, the Japanese 75mm, to small caliber automatic weapons like the German 20mm or the Japanese 25mm triple pom-pom. There's a great difference in methods of fire between the heavy gun and the small caliber automatic weapon. The heavy gun destroys aircraft by using a time-fused shell to put a large explosive burst in the near vicinity of the target. It must be, and is, accurate to high altitudes. The automatic weapon depends on a dense concentration of fire, flexibly controlled. Its shells explode when they actually hit the target. In heavy anti-aircraft fire, the problem of getting the necessary accuracy requires painstaking fire control. Let's see why. A heavy gun's shell takes roughly 1 second to climb 1,000 feet. It would take then about 27 seconds for a shell to reach the 27,000-foot level. This plane represents a bomber formation flying 200 miles per hour. If the gun is aimed directly at the planes at the time the shell is fired, the formation will have moved on almost 2 miles before the shell reaches their altitude. That's why a gunner always leads his target, like a hunter firing at ducks in flight. The hunter must judge his lead and aim ahead of the duck if he is to hit it. But because of the great altitude and speed of a bomber, the anti-aircraft gunner cannot rely on dead reckoning. His leading must be a careful mathematical calculation. First, the aircraft is picked up in an optical sight and held on the crosshair. The sight keeps tracking it continuously, obtaining its direction and angular height while a stereoscopic rangefinder determines the altitude. At night or in bad weather, the aircraft may be tracked solely by radar. Whether tracked by optical sight or by radar, the information is fed by electric cable to a director. This mechanical quiz kid digests the data and automatically computes the right lead, setting the guns. So they will fire not at where the target is now, but at where it will be at the end of the shell's time of flight. The director will then go on automatically adjusting and setting the guns as long as the planes remain in range. Of course, guns do not fire singly, but in batteries of 4 or 6. Our symbol now represents the heavier fire of a whole battery making a continuous pattern of bursts along the plane's course. Often, several batteries are within range, and all fire with the proper lead, as produced by their own fire control instruments. Each battery maintains predicted fire until it can no longer reach the attacking planes. But new batteries take up the firing as soon as they come within range. This is called continuously pointed fire. This is what continuously pointed fire looks like. Small groups of 1 to 4 bursts move along the course of your plane, keeping pace with you as the fire control instruments supply predicted firing data constantly. This is the most accurate and therefore most dangerous kind of anti-aircraft fire. The next most accurate kind is predicted concentration. For such fire control, a master command post directs the fire of several batteries in the region. Each gun symbol represents an entire battery. The target sighted, direction, angular height, and altitude readings are taken at several points along its course. Based on these readings, an actual prediction is made as to where the target will be in the sky a certain number of seconds later, and each battery is informed. Each adjusts its gun so that a concentrated fire will strike the point of prediction at the given time. While the first salvos are on the way, a new prediction is in the making. The guns are laid on the new point, and another concentration sent on its way. Bursts occur practically simultaneously. Not as accurate as continuously pointed fire, the predicted concentration has greater volume. From the aircraft, predicted concentrations appear as groups of 10 or more bursts at spaced intervals of approximately 60 seconds. In contrast to continuously pointed fire, there will be flak-free spaces between successive concentrations of bursts. In both these kinds of fire, the gunner is up against his greatest weakness, prediction. His firing data can never be more than the assumed future course of the target. In continuously pointed fire, the gunner must get you in his sights and obtain your altitude. At least 5 seconds consumed here. Then the director must make its calculations and set the guns. Roughly another 5 seconds. Then the shell, climbing at approximately its 1,000 feet per second, chalks up 25 more. Continuing your present flight path for 35 seconds would place you right at the predicted point. But making a change after 25 seconds leaves the flak bursting on a course you're no longer flying. In addition, the gunner's next prediction must be refigured to fit your new course before he can fire again. In predicted concentrations, the gunner has an even longer time lapse to contend with. For plotting the target's course, 25 seconds. For making a prediction, 5 seconds. For the telephoning and actual setting of the guns of the various batteries, 10 more. Adding 25 seconds for approximate time of flight gives us a total of 65 seconds. However, by flying planned evasive action, that is a point you'll never reach. You can see from this that if you knew when to make changes and what changes to make, you could continuously defeat the predictions. Well, that's what flak intelligence has figured out. As a rule of thumb on when to make changes, you're given this. Never fly one flight path for a greater number of seconds than you are up thousands of feet. In other words, flying at 30,000 feet, make a change at least every 30 seconds.